Hello, everybody. This is Steel Rose's podcast. This podcast was created for women by women to elevate women's voices. I'm excited. It's the last week of summer. Now, you've all been on this journey with me for the summer. I think I prepped you all up in like June about the anxiety I was feeling leading up to the summertime and how I was going to manage the kids being home. I'm big enough to admit that this was a failed social experiment and I will not be taking this risk again. And to level set for anyone who's just listening to this particular episode, my kids got out of school in June. They were in half-day camp for all of July, and then the first week of August, they started to be at home full-time, and I work full-time too. Outside of the podcast, I work a regular job. So, and it's from home. So August, I was really freaking out about because I knew it was a gap month and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was like, let me just give it a shot this year and see how I can make it work. And let me tell you, this month has taught me a lot of things. Number one, workplace bias is rampant. And by that, I mean, as soon as it became really evident that my kids were home and it was impacting me, like it started impacting how I was perceived at work. I'm going to have to do cleanup now because of that. Not my kid's fault, but this is unfortunately the reality that we live in. Then burnout, mom burnout. Holy hell. I want to take a minute here to recognize all of the stay-at-home moms and just commend you on that journey that you've dedicated yourself to. That has to be the hardest job in the world, is to be the stay-at-home mom, because this is a woman who's cooking, cleaning, caring for the kids, managing the household, making the appointments, dealing with, in some instances, finances as well. Like the amount of pressure on a stay-at-home mom for all the things. And then on top of it, even outside of the pressure, there is no true break. I only had to experience having my kids home full-time for 4 weeks. And I was texting my stepdaughter last night and I told her, I was like, this base nearly broke me. Like this experience, like, really got in my head pretty badly. And I pride myself a lot on like being able to manage like stress and manage things and juggle and everything, but this was like being in the hot seat 24/7. And then when I layered in like the work stress, it was like blowing me away. Unfortunately, because of the burnout that I've been feeling, it's making me respond differently to my kids, and it makes me feel like a bad mom. Because I'm much more triggered right now. Like literally in this moment, I know I'm triggered. I woke up, actually, today's a great day. Like I woke up great, got all my meditating done. I'm getting to podcast today, which is always a light in my life. And I'm spending the day with my kids, but underneath like the undertone, I'm so burnt out that immediately, as soon as they start arguing, I'm triggered and I flip out right away. Whereas normally you'd have a progression of like, all right, guys, come on, cut it out. And then you kind of move on and move on and move on until you're actually fully triggered. I'm already fully triggered because I've been dealing with what I've been dealing with. So, and it's not really their fault. Like they're 3 healthy, smart kids. So they're just being themselves. And because of me and my stress level with everything else, it's making it a lot for me. And it's making me react poorly. And that's why I'll say it again. Like, I feel like a terrible mom. Everyone around me is giving me props and everyone around me is saying like, you're doing the best you can. Just hang in there just a couple more days. And obviously I'm going to, but I feel awful. I truly, sincerely feel awful. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to my kids. And I feel like these are the memories that they're going to have. They're going to remember like the summer that mom was like losing her SHIT. Like, I don't want them to have memories like that. I don't want them to think I'm like a mean mom and am always screaming at them. Like, I don't want them to grow up and go to therapy and be like, my mother always screamed at us. She always was screaming at us about different things. And that's like the thing I don't want them to do. But nevertheless, I am doing the best that I can, but it is so much. Now it's like it's just a lot. And I was trying to explain it to my husband the other day because he came home and he was like, oh, they were bad today. I'm like, they're not bad kids. They're good kids, but they're kids. And then when you're layering it into everything else, it's a lot. I hope that this situation isn't the same situation I'm in next summer. Prayers, y'all, that podcast takes off. So I wanted to commend that. I wanted to point out stay-at-home moms, but I also wanted to highlight the burnout thing for a moment because, the month of August, I've been telling you guys about various things, like, the week that I like just kind of stepped out at night for like an hour or two and was like, let me just run errands, quote unquote. But it really did a great service to my mental health to be able to remove myself from the house, working from home, and then being at home with the kids and not really getting any kind of break. That combination, is really what did me in. If you are a full-time stay-at-home mom, try to find something that you can justify, that you will be comfortable with for removing yourself from the house for an hour a week even. Because this couple of weeks was a flashback almost to when I was giving everything up and was only focused on the kids because they were so little and they needed so much of me. And it's a flashback of how dark those times were for me. And I don't talk about it as much because of, I guess, how we're wired as women, the memories have subdued quite a bit and they've gotten pushed to the back of my mind, but they're still there. And I do reflect a lot on the times that I know that, well, we all make mistakes, but that I reflect on. And I think we all go through that. I think we all reflect on those moments, especially as women, because, we're trying so hard to give all of ourselves to our kids, and we're trying so hard to make sure that they have everything that we didn't have, that it does take a toll when you can't be 100%. So it's hard. It really is. It's hard across the board. I think it's hard for all of us. I don't think it's just any one person over the other. I think we all struggle with this, and, we're all just doing the best that we can. There shouldn't be any comparator to other people. Don't compare yourself to other women, other mothers. Like, you're doing what you can to get through whatever you're getting through at the moment. But I do strongly recommend, especially with the school year starting in T-minus like 10 days or 8 days, whatever it is, try to actually take advantage of those breaks with the kids in school. If your kids are going to preschool or daycare or whatever they're going to in the fall, even if it's just a half day and you only have a couple hours, take 30 minutes from those couple hours to do something for yourself. Literally, like, I never do it and I'm like terrible at it. And I'm still like, I have to tell you, edge of my seat, because I have 2 vacation days left to take. And I'm struggling with myself to take a full day off to pamper myself. I'm struggling. I want to do it so badly. But in my head, I'm like, well, Jenny, how could you justify taking a whole day to just do something for yourself? Like, that's wasteful. You can't do that. You have all this other things. You have the fall series launching. You have your, podcast guide that you need to take care of with customers for that. Like, there's things. You have your regular daytime job. Then you have Girl Scouts. I'm like, yes, there's a million things on my plate, but I need to take a day for myself and release some stress and reset. And I'm having a really hard time getting myself to actually put the time in to say, like, all right, I'm taking this day for myself. I'll go and get a massage and go get my hair done. Like, I just need to do it. I just haven't gotten myself to do it yet. But now that I'm saying it out loud, I feel like I'll do it. Talking with you guys makes me feel like I'm going to do better things. I hope you all feel the same way when you listen, by the way, because reality-wise, like, when I get to talk with all of you and to share the experience, it does help in a lot of ways, because I want you to hear that, yes, things, from the outside looking in, like I've gotten a lot of compliments recently on the podcast and the trajectory of the podcast and how much it's grown since the beginning and where it is now and where it's going to be. And I've gotten these great collaboration offers and all these things. And on the surface level, it's like, wow, she's really killing it. But like, I want you all to know, like, this is difficult. This is not easy. This is hard to do because it does take a lot of work and it does take a lot of project management that I employ, like to make sure that I'm doing things in a timely, orderly fashion. So it does take a lot out of me. Oh, the kids are coming. It's happening. I already told them I was recording, but they're definitely coming down the stairs. Okay. In any case, outside of the burnout and outside of everything else, it's been an interesting journey for the summer, but I am still excited. And my little one who just ran past me, is also really excited for school to start. Every time I say, I can't wait for school to start, she says, "Me too, mommy." Which is kind of hilarious because she's like my little mini me who's fighting with me. All right. So that takes care of that. Now I did want to I wanted to bring something to all of your attention that I just saw, come across my Pinterest feed. I'd like you to take a look at this because it sets the tone, and it sort of not sets the tone, but it confirms, I think, the experience that a lot of us have. When you are in certain positions, and maybe not just professionally, but I was scrolling through Pinterest and I saw this little interview clip pop up about Halsey. She's a singer, if you're not familiar with her. And in this little interview clip, she actually is speaking out about miscarriage trauma. She's an endometriosis person as well. And she goes on in the interview to talk about how while she was on tour, she found out she was pregnant. But because of endometriosis, it causes infertility. There's a great deal of issues there when you're not treating it properly. And it caused her to have a miscarriage. Miscarriage is traumatic enough. I never had to experience the trauma of it. I have observed it in a lot of my relatives and friends who've gone through it. That is not to say I know anything about what that feels like. I can only surmise, and my heart goes out to anybody who's going through that because I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But in the interview, Halsey goes on to say that she was 20 years old, found out that she was pregnant while she was on tour, and then while also still on tour, she's supposed to go on and perform, and she starts bleeding profusely. And she's obviously miscarrying. In that moment, she was literally miscarrying in that moment. And she said she was laying on a bed with a towel tucked in between her legs, bleeding profusely, with male managers surrounding her, basically just saying, well, there's whatever billions of dollars on the line, or there's X amount of people out there. You have a show to do. And she says they put an adult diaper on her and basically sent her out to do her show. I can't even imagine what that would have been like for her to have to stand up and perform, knowing that her body was going through what it was going through emotionally, physically, mentally. I can't even wrap my head around that. But it also, and she also notes that there's this feeling of almost like you're a robot, or you're like a cow, you're just a carrier, and that you're not given the respect as a human being while you're pregnant. And I've gone through that, and I've talked a little bit about my pregnancy experiences, and especially with the twin pregnancy, and especially being overweight while pregnant, that you're not treated humanely in some instances. especially when you're overweight. She wasn't overweight, but that was my experience with it. And to have someone discount what you're physically going through, I mean, she could have, yes, there would have been chaos and lost dollars, and, you know, things would have been difficult for her professionally if she had said in that moment, you know, I'm having miscarriage, I cannot go on stage, there's an actual emergency here. But she would have also set an example to millions to say, like, I had to take care of my body. I just can't imagine what that would have been like to go through that. And now she's speaking out about it. And I think it's important to note here, because how many of us go through our day-to-day lives with things that are difficult to deal with, that we're basically told, well, just deal with it, cope. You need to cope. You need to deal with this. The amount of pain I experience on a daily basis because of endometriosis is tremendous. I think I've talked with you guys before about, well, actually in the fall, there's a fall episode coming where I discuss it a little bit in more detail. But at night when I lay down, I have a practice of massaging my abdomen, and it goes from my lower abdomen all the way up to my sternum that I massage, and I massage at my stomach. My husband will help me massage my stomach. And the reason I do this is because there's so much pain in there all day long that I don't realize how sore I am, because I'm just constantly in pain. And so at night, I take a moment to try to relieve some of that, and it's successful. It works, but I cry almost every single time, because then I realize, my God, I've been sitting in pain all day and I didn't even realize it. What would life be like not to feel pain? I have no idea. But I'm told to cope because I, can't get the hysterectomy that I need. And financially, unfortunately, I can't get the hysterectomy that I need. And, you just have to go on and continue on, because there's no like break for you. So it's just unfortunate. And unfortunate doesn't even cover it. It's obscene that women are put into a position of needing to put ourselves to the side, basically, in these medical emergent situations. It's crazy. It should, and every time something like this happens, I do say to myself, well, if a man was going through this, if this was a male related disease or a male related like situation, then there would be guardrails, and it wouldn't have been, happen the way it did with her. I mean, it's just a terrible thing. So I want you guys to take a look at it. I'm going to pin an article, and I'll pin the interview into the description of this podcast episode. I do want you guys to look at it, because whether you've had a miscarriage or not, this is important. This is a big deal. And it's important to recognize like what this says about that industry, like the entertainment industry, but what does it also say to us about it as a society? Like, that this is what we've pressured this poor woman to go through. And it's horrible. It really is. There is really no other way to say it besides like the fact that this is horrible, that she had to go through that, and she had to stand up on stage while miscarrying. Like, I can't even imagine it. So in any case, I'll link all of that into the description of the podcast episode. As you can hear, everyone's awake and moving, so I have to hop off. But I greatly appreciate all of you for listening. Couple more, 1-2 more weeks until the fall series starts. I hope you're subscribed. I hope everybody is subscribed. Fall series is launching September 8th. It's going to be amazing. Make sure that you're for September, October, November. It's going to be really great. I hope you all enjoy the last couple of weeks this summer, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.